Hello, how y'all doing? We are doing some role quests for Healer, Heaven's Ward. Let's get to it. Here to see Commander Alden, I take it. This way, please. Our request for an audience with the Sultana has been accepted. Before we depart, I'll share what we've learned since last we spoke. The blasphemy continues to elude us, all the while driving others to succumb to despair in turn. Even with Alamegan and Uldan forces searching for signs of the beast and more potential victims, we've yet to discern a pattern in the chaos. Nevertheless, if our blasphemy is like the others, its behavior is likely dictated by the passions and regrets of the man it once was. Therefore, any information concerning him and the life he led may help us to track it down before it strikes again. We don't want people to shun from the families of the skulls any more than they already are, but the fact remains that the vast majority of the beasts have been born from them. They're the ones at greatest risk of turning, without question. Fordola concerns me too. She came close to transforming once before, so I think it might be best if we keep her out of this one after all. Seems like a waste of a capable soldier. I'm inclined to agree with Yo. She was able to resist the transformation and has shown no signs of succumbing since then. If she wants to do her part, I say we let her. If only I could go in her stead. Actually, I was hoping you'd come with us to meet the Sultana. I believe she would benefit greatly from your understanding of the struggles of our people face. You'd gain these from the experience too. While she's not the sort to brandish a sword and charge into battle, we'll soon discover she's a champion of her own arena, as brave as any warrior. I doubt she'd have much to learn from the likes of me, but it would be an honor to make her acquaintance. Aaron Bold and I will go on ahead and wait for you in the hustling strip. We'll see you anon. Yep. Cooled off for you. Hey. let her out of my sight for a moment. It's the first time I've been here back since I discharged myself from the infirmary without telling anybody mine. I must remember to stop by and offer my thanks and apology. Master Papashan was just telling us that Nanamo, or should I say Lady Lilura, has gone on another of her jaunts about the city. Though it is not my place to question her Grace's judgment, I do wish she had consulted me before running off on her own. And perhaps I'm overthinking it, but it's unlike her to keep guests waiting. If I may say so, sir, with blasphemies appearing about throughout the land, it's a dangerous time to be going for a stroll. I suspect that may be the very reason she wishes to see for herself how the citizens fare in these trying times. Even so, it's downright reckless. We'll find her, though. No. I couldn't possibly allow such esteemed guests to. Come now. We might be here on official business, but we're old friends. And as you may remember, I have a knack for tracking down errant sultanas. Some might say that knack is rather charitable. I should be glad of the assistance. I'll take a look around here. Quizzing the locals will give me an opportunity to learn of recent goings on in Ul'dah too. Well then, there's no time like the present. Fear not, with me on the case, this will be over before you know it. Just between you and me, Robon has ever had much luck at finding Lady Lyra. Rather the opposite. Which isn't to say that he's misrepresenting his capabilities. Perhaps his recollections of events simply differs somewhat from reality. If she's supposed to be meeting us here, maybe we should sit and wait for her to come to us. It's been some time since I last combed these streets for young Lyra. As a matter of fact, Papashan and I would compete to see which of us could find her first. As I recall, most of the contests ended in my favor. The trick, you see, is to look past the disguise, to pay attention to the gesture and mannerisms, the tiniest movement that might give her away. Come, I'll show you how it's done. That's odd. I've tried all her usual haunts, so unless she's hiding inside a barrel or something equally nonsensical, she must be elsewhere. Gods, why did she choose now of all times to run off? What if she's been abducted or run afoul of a beast? You're right, I know, but it's hard not to worry. Where could she be? Come to think of it, something Papashan said caught my ear. He thought Nanamo went on this excursion because of the emergence of the blasphemy and the beast, to better understand how our people are coping with the situation. If so, she'd be driven to seek out the most desperate and destitute. Pearl Lane, then. Might I ask you to lead the way? I'll admit my ability to track missing persons may have dulled somewhat. Pearl Lane has ever been plagued by pickpockets and the like. I'll watch your back, so go ahead and give the search to Lyra your full attention. One second. Some say money can't buy happiness, but they never tried living without it. Those who call Pearl Lane home had the luxury of choice. The city's poorest live here, and as such are at greater risk of turning. Knowing this, I expect Lyra came to learn of their plight. While it may not be immediately obvious, conditions here have improved considerably of late. Here, Grace continues to support the rebuilding efforts in Garabania, which has led to the creation of jobs for many of the locals, both here and on the other side of Balser's wall. In every society, there are the haves and the have-nots, and seldom is this divide more sorely felt than in here in Ulda. Many of the young and able-bodied work for Lolorito as guards, though he earns more in an afternoon than most will in a lifetime. Nana, Lady Lyra. Rogan, whatever are you doing here? And yo, too. While I am glad to see you both, our meeting is not yet due to commence for several bells. What is the meaning of this? We were worried, and with good reason. These are far too dangerous times to be roaming about alone, Your Grace. Huh. Some things never change. But I assure you, I am quite capable of looking after myself and my own city of all places. More importantly, I wish to observe firsthand how the people have been faring of late, that I might be better prepared to participate in our discussion later. But I have finished. You will be comforted to hear. Then pray allow us to escort you to more admirable surroundings. Would you care to ride on my shoulder? Certainly not. You have already attracted more than enough attention. Oh shit, they did a callback to the shoulder. Okay. That's pretty good. Alright. I have a feeling the search would have taken rather longer if Roban had been left to his own devices. I had every faith you and the commander would find her. I thank you all for making the journey here during these difficult times. And it is my pleasure to properly make your acquaintance. On behalf of the people of Eorzea, allow me to express my sincerest gratitude for your continued dedication to our cause. With respect, Your Grace, I'm just a soldier. Was a soldier. Still, I say, Commander Alden would not make such a distinction, and neither will I. You yet serve your people, and have provided solace to many of Alamigo's most vulnerable. If we are to deal with this threat, we must forearm ourselves with knowledge. I understand you come bearing information regarding the blasphemies and its victims. We have indeed. Hence the need to locate families of Granny Lupi members who have fled to Thanalin. There is no end to the struggles faced of Alamagan refugees, and those who were once pledged allegiance to the Empire are no exception. But rest assured that, irrespective of their past, all will be treated with an even hand, and will be afforded such aid as I am able to provide. Magnanimous as always, Your Grace. If I might be so bold, I have a question. What do you have in mind for those most at risk of undergoing the change? I believe there is but one recourse: earnest and open dialogue. While some were born into unimaginable wealth, others suffered great hardship and oppression. The circumstances of our birth are beyond our control. Our fates subject to the whims of the gods, some would argue. I once thought myself a prisoner to my fate, a figurehead helpless to watch on as my people starved, a powerless puppet. I wanted nothing more than to cast it all aside, to free us all, but failed for my naivety, and then was afforded a second chance for my privilege. The world is unfair, terribly so, but we have the power to push back against inequalities and injustices, if not overcome them on blessed occasions, to leave our neighborhood and share in life bounties, to open our hearts and come together as one. Truer words have never been spoken. But without the support of the people, such words are not but vain platitudes. Thankfully, my recent attempts to make inroads with the monetarists have met with some success. Despite differing views on many subjects, we yet strive to find common ground. We've been pouring all our efforts into aiding families of the Crania lupi, and while it seemed to help to a degree, some have still succumbed and turned. Of course, they're not the only ones in danger. Alamegans everywhere, where they're sided with the Empire, fought with the resistance, or were caught in the middle. They all suffered. They all wake up in the night at these times, haunted by memories of death and despair. We know what can happen if those feelings are left to fester. The legacy of the imperial occupation will not soon be forgotten, but rather than seek to forget, mayhap it is necessary to remember, to acknowledge and accept the truth of it, that they may properly mourn those they have lost. I, a remembrance. I propose we hold a memorial ceremony for those who died during the war. Everyone, no matter who they were or what they did, let them be loved. Let them be hated, but above all, let them be remembered. And in the remembering of the dead, in their honor and in their sin, we, the living of Alamigo, may yet find a sliver of common ground. It's a noble sentiment, but bringing together people who have reason to distrust one another and risk inflaming tension could be a recipe for disaster. Then again, we can't keep ignoring the merit in the room and do nothing to address the situation. As long as we leave it to the individuals to decide whether or not to attend the ceremony, it's worth a try. Organizing an event of this scale will require a great deal of effort, so I offer my full support. Once you know what's needed, come to me, and we'll put the plan into action. Obviously, some will balk at the idea, which is perfectly understandable. so I'll be listening to their opinions as well. After all, we want it to be a ceremony that brings Alamegans together. And I was wondering, Your Grace, if I might ask about your approach to, well, talking to people, winning them over. As you can tell, I'm no politician, so I'd be grateful for any advice you can share with me. Why, I would be delighted to. As a matter of fact, I have a number of matters I wish to discuss with you. And on that note, I suggest you and I return to Alamigo. To see the Sultana grow to become such a capable and compassionate leader, it brings a tear to my eye. Wonder what Alba and Oli would say if I could tell them I had a chat with the Sultana. I can hardly believe it myself. The relationship between Olda and Alamigo is one which I cherish deeply. It is imperative that we coordinate our efforts in facing this crisis. Nothing of note has occurred in your absence, which I expect is welcome news in its health. I knew Arengold would make a good impression, but he's outdone himself. Not only has he found a new avenue in life to explore, he's taken to it with considerable aplomb. And while he's proposed memorial ceremony is bound to have its detractors, I have faith that many will come around. Not all, but enough, I pray. For our part, we must stand at the ready for whatever may occur. I shall send word if there are any developments. Hello. We are continuing the video. Here we go. There you are, yo. Commander Alden has asked me to convey to you the following information. At present, we are looking into reports of missing relatives of the Grania Lupi. With the cooperation of the Silver Griffins, we're currently searching for any clues as to their whereabouts. Thanks to the concerted efforts of Ragfrid and the others, the general public has been willing to cooperate with our investigation. Though many still harbor feelings of distrust for the collaborators and their kin, they've grown more receptive to our cause on the whole. Aaronville's been making steady progress in preparing for the memorial ceremony. He plans to host a meeting between the various community leaders to go over the finer details. In fact, he was wondering whether you could assist in delivering the invitations if he can spare the time. You should be able to find him in the mercantile district. Anyway, that's all for now. I have a few other matters to attend to, so if you'll excuse me, duty calls. Thanks for coming. It should come as no surprise that planning a memorial ceremony for our whole bloody nation would keep a man busy. But by Radar, this is something else. The hardest part's gathering information on those who died in the war, especially when it comes to the skulls and other conscripts, and they're the ones we need to treat most carefully. If we don't acknowledge the crimes of our kin and all their painful truth, then we do a disservice to their victims, living and dead. But if we let people paint them as monsters who did monstrous things we believe we would never do, then we perpetuate a different but no less dangerous lie. As for preparing the event itself, I'll be holding a meeting with the members from each of the settlements around Giravania. I've sent invitations to most of them already, but I was hoping you'd help me with the last two. There's Moxnung in the Peering Stones and Sarsha in Veranalia. I'll give you one for each. To be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if they refuse, considering how their people suffered at the hands of the skulls. But I hope we can remind them that deep down, we're all just people trying to survive, to protect our loved ones. We may have driven the Empire from our lands, but as long as we hold fast to the grudges born of their attempts to divide us and set us against one another, we'll never be free of their legacy of cruelty. With that in mind, I've included an account of my experience with the Silver Griffins and the people I've met, victims, collaborators, their friends, and their family, men and women who lived through it all, survivors. Even if they refuse to join the ceremony, at least they will know and hopefully understand our reasons for holding the event. Granted, I've not had much practice in writing important letters, but I think they'll get the message. You being the one to deliver them will make a world of difference, I'm sure. Take care, won't you? Greetings, friend. It has been too long since last we spoke. What brings you to my village? So the rumors are true. I need not read this letter in full to know its contents. I understand that Ragfried's volunteers are working to support the families of those lost in the war, which few will deny is a worthy cause, but to include the relatives of the Crania Lupi. The skulls watched the Empire slay us in our thousands, and still they turned their cloaks and fought for our oppressors. And you would ask us to mourn the deaths of these curs alongside their victims? Excuse me. To dismiss it out hand would be discourteous. Very well. Family. As none, my tribe is my family, and I know all too well the responsibility that brings. I would do anything to protect them. Anything. Loyalty, pride, conscience, my very soul. All are meaningless if I cannot ensure the safety of those I love. I suspected some skulls had been faced with the selfsame choice, but to see how their kin suffered, I cannot say I do not understand, though I wish that I did not. Their crimes will never be forgiven, they cannot be, but I and the others who are willing can offer our prayers for the tortured souls and the men they could have been. I accept the invitation, not on behalf of the M tribe, but as Mars Nun, though I will put the question to my people that they may decide for themselves. I am also eager to make the acquaintance of the person who wrote this letter. He is not wont to turn a blind eye to the bitter truth, painful though it is to confront. The meeting will be the perfect opportunity to take his measure. Ceiling. No ceiling. Welcome. To what do we owe the pleasure of your visit? Then it is as I suspected. There have been rumors that such a ceremony would take place. Although you have traveled far to make this invitation, I must decline. We cannot mourn the loss of the fallen if the Crania Lupi are bound to be counted among them. Like the Quela, they choose to aid the Garlean oppressors, killing and bleeding for those who would pillage our lands, cowards and traitors all. And we are to assume that Quela, who died fighting for the Empire, will be honored as well. If so, that is all the more reason for us to refuse. If you insist. No one was spared suffering in the occupation. Not the resistance, not the collaborators, not the families of both. No one. That so many would die in shame and ignominy, having sold their souls only to lose everything, is a tragedy and a lesson. If they are forgotten, then the lessons of their folly is forgotten. For the sake of this one land we call home, I will join you in remembrance, and implore my people do the same. In mourning may we strengthen our ties with our neighbors as well. By together facing our past, we can build a foundation for lasting peace and prosperity. It would be my honor to attend the proposal meeting, and I look forward to personally thanking your friend Arenbold for his dedication. I and my peers have much to learn from the example he has set. So, how did you fare in the fringes? You said that about me. It's rare for me to get such glowing praise, especially from renowned leaders like Sarisha and Mars and Nun. More importantly, though, they agreed to attend to the meeting, and I've got you to thank for that. After all, I imagine it's hard to turn down an invitation when it's hand-delivered by the Warrior of Light herself. Before I get ahead of myself, though, I must remember that this is only the beginning. Bringing everyone together is one thing. Coming to an agreement on an extremely divisive issue is a different kettle of fish entirely, as Her Grace was quick to point out. But as she's taught me, if her cause is just and her hearts are true, those of like mind will surely answer the call. And answer it they have. While they are bound to be differences of opinion, I'm sure there's nothing we can't overcome if we put our minds to it. To that end, I was hoping you could join us, if you've the time to spare. There are still a few loose ends Rockford and I need to tie up beforehand, so we'll meet you in the palace as soon as we can. Just having you there will make a world of difference. Here for the meeting, yes? So, while we all agree on the importance of the ceremony, we recognize that the inclusion of the craniolupi will be distressing for many. I too lost family at their hands, and I would never ask others to forgive and forget. But for all their crimes, they were Alamegans, just like us. None made the decision to side with the Garly Lamald lightly. They had a choice, and they chose to betray us. Who among us has not made difficult choices for kith and kin? And do not forget that Fordola chose to stand between us and a primal. What does that have to do with this? Brothers and sisters, arguing will avail us not. The fate of Alamigo rests on my shoulders and yours, on those of every man, woman, and child that calls these lands home. To uphold our honor, to strive for prosperity, to protect our loved ones, We all know the weight of these responsibilities. 'Twas that self-same weight which drove many of our people to serve our oppressors, misguided as it was. And though they chose a different, unconscionable path, in the end, we all wanted the same thing: to deliver our families from persecution, that they might live to see one more day, because another day in shame and self-hatred was still better than none at all. The regretful dead are survived by their despair, a despair which threatens to drag us all into an abyss from where there is no escape. Know that it surely will, if we welcome it into our hearts out of disdain for those we cannot forgive. But we Alamegans will not be so easily defeated. We will stand united and conquer this menace. Every Alamegan who fought and died it so in the hopes that one day we would be free. And we are free. We are free. By the blood of our fallen brothers and sisters, we are free. Free to lock away the pain and pretend it has no power over us, until it festers and takes us in our beds, and free to lay it bare and let it breathe, to acknowledge and to mourn our people at their best and their worst. The past is ours to bear, all of it, for ourselves and for future generations, so that they needn't suffer like we did. Let us make Alamigo a nation where no man is left behind, where he can make all the wrong choices and still be afforded the chance to make a right one. That went better than any of us could have hoped for. You have my gratitude for your part in the proceedings. Well, we both know the real hero of the day was. This was all Ehrenwald's idea, and it was his words that finally won over the naysayers. Now that we have the community leaders on our side, we should have a much easier time convincing the rest of the citizenry. Of course, holding the ceremony is by no means our final objective. No matter what we say, some will refuse to attend. It is my hope, however, that it will still serve to provide a measure of closure for us all, and to ease the plight of the vulnerable and ostracized. Speaking of which, you will recall the incident with Fordola and Algana. The young girl she saved and her mother wished to thank her personally. Considering what happened last time, though, I have my reservations. It would be a valuable opportunity to present a former skull in a more positive light. On the other hand, I don't need to tell you how unpredictable she can be, and that's before taking her echo into consideration. But that's a conversation for another day. Go and get some rest. You've earned it. Okay. Well, that's gonna do it for this episode. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.